Now a word about my long-time partners, Castrol. I have been using Castrol Power 1 in many of my bikes since long, including the new full synthetic Castrol Power 1 Ultimate with 5-in-1 formula. It goes in my Ninja H2 and the Rocket 3R. Well, the Hayabusa is no different. What is wrong with the Hayabusa? Why does it have this effect on me and on thousands of others? Why do people go mad over it? I have ridden and driven around the world in over 63 countries on the choicest of superbikes and supercars, and some oddities over the last 15 years. Not so long ago, I completed my dream garage with the world's fastest bike, the world's largest capacity motorcycle, and a few incredible sidekicks too. Over the last 15 years, I have owned more than 10 incredible superbikes and then sold them for others. But never I have been sad before. Like when I sold my 2014 Hayabusa after owning it for 6 years in 2020. I've never held on to one single motorcycle for so long. There are millions of videos on the Hayabusa on the internet, but this one is about my own. I've concluded that it is an emotion, something that you cannot express by just using one medium. From the first time I saw it in 2004 to finally owning it in 2014 and until 2020 when I sold it, I have had many incredible adventures with it in India. And it is no coincidence that my first big bike was the Honda Blackbird 1100XX that I got in 2005, the first production motorcycle to cross the magical 300 mark. But it was another feeling to do 300 on the Hayabusa. As the legend would have it, Suzuki made the Hayabusa, which is the Japanese word for peregrine falcon, the fastest creature on earth, that actually preys on the blackbird in the wild and does speeds over 350 kilometers an hour while diving. In 2010, I rode 8,000 kilometers around New Zealand on the Suzuki B-King, which was an insane naked bike with a Hayabusa engine, but an unfortunate failure in terms of sales for Suzuki worldwide. Ironically, this was even before I rode my first ever Hayabusa, so I had tasted blood for the time in an unlikely way that made me understand the beauty of its engine. However, the B-King stood opposite to what the Hayabusa stood for: aerodynamics and being born in a wind tunnel. There was still no denying that incredible motor. That, coupled with the beauty of Middle Earth, it was priceless. I again got a chance to ride it in 2015 in India as part of India in 0 to 100 motorcycles.
So, I'm on the B-King, and of course it has to be the King because this thing has got the Hayabusa motor in it with 183 bhp.
If you're not from India, then you should probably know about the movie called Dhoom, which literally means mayhem. It was released in India in August 2004 and it starred the Bollywood star John Abraham on a Hayabusa. After that movie, everyone in India knew about the Hayabusa as the Dhoom bike. It is quite a phenomena that still exists today, 17 years after its release. From kids shouting Dhoom bike to trucks sounding the Dhoom movie title music on braking. And it also made John Abraham quite literally a household name and the ideal poster boy for both young males and females for more than a decade now. In fact, around that time in 2004, when I first saw the Hayabusa in Delhi, it was like a mythical creature, unattainable yet with a desirable aura. I was so influenced by the Busa that I decided to make a short cartoon for myself in Macromedia Flash because I was already working as a graphic designer in a company. The cartoon had me enter my garage and take out my Hayabusa, unfortunately without a helmet, and ride the streets of Punk City, defying all physics and laws of gravity, and apparently creating a lot of pollution too. And at night, I moonlighted as a racer who used to show race cars their true place. Slowly but surely, I did get the Hayabusa. It took me 10 years, but that dream did come true in 2014. But thank God I didn't become a street racer. The first thing I did after running it for 2 days straight was to take it on the track. Yes, it is not made for that, but I had to run it on the 1.6 kilometers back straight of the Buddh International Circuit near Delhi. As fate would have it, I got a chance to do a couple of laps with an Audi R8 in tow. That brought the animation I had made 10 years ago to a full circle. I then made something unique for my moto cave. A Hayabusa temple. After all, it was one of the most deceptive bikes out there, and you need to treat it with respect. A few months after getting it, I made my first national television appearance with it when I went around India on it with other Suzuki bikes on a program called the Great Indian Collector's Ride. The idea was to collect unique vintage stuff for sale from a website called OLX and create a larger than life sculpture of a motorcycle. It took me to different parts of India and I was absolutely thrilled to see how many different kinds of things people collected. The sculpture itself came out to be quite unique. The entire journey was telecasted on History TV over 13 episodes. The Hayabusa has always been a unique machine. It is by no means a beautiful bike. Its bulbous shape ensures that. But despite that, the cult status it has garnered is quite unbelievable, but well deserved. I almost never keep any of my motorcycles in stock trim because of my career as a journalist and an entrepreneur. I'm always involved in projects which give me a chance to be near motorcycles all the time, and I really enjoy what I do. The Hayabusa is one of the few motorcycles that holds its ground visually when amongst supercars. At one instance, I took it inside India's largest supercar showroom, Big Boy Toys. It was an exhilarating experience being amongst all those ultra expensive cars and still realizing that you can match their speeds, at least in acceleration up to a certain point, with a machine which was just a fraction of their cost. The Hayabusa is also one of the most customized motorcycles in the world. Besides being used in professional track circuits, for long it has also been used to project each one's personality. The most common customization has to be the fat tire kit on it, which I happen to ride down south in India, thanks to Naveen and Hemant in Bangalore. They had modeled their Hayabusa after the Bumblebee and the Iron Man, and for a pop culture buff like me, it was a wet dream come true.
I'm having a blast in this. I'm having so much fun. I can't tell you.
The 330mm rear did give it a phenomenal look, although at the cost of a bit of handling. But then, a good rider can accommodate most conditions on the road, even with it. It was quite something, I must tell you. My Predator helmet was also the perfect fit with them. And then in 2015, it was time to take the Hayabusa again on a pan-India ride with xBhp, which is a platform that I created for motorcyclists in India in 2003. This time, the ride was called the O2 Ride, which means octaves and octane ride to marry music and motorcycling. My adventures with the Hayabusa continued. I paired up with many cars and bikes and it always seemed to be evergreen and the star of the show. So many priceless moments and short Sunday rides were also in order. One of my favorite color themes on the bike had to be the matte black. Come 2018, it was time for the Hayabusa's third Pan-India ride with the Road Trip United. It was an insane 10,000 kilometers ride around India to celebrate motorcycling, and not one but two Hayabusas were the stars of the show. It was truly an incredible journey as we went around India meeting over 8,000 bikers and 300 motorcycling clubs along with xBhp. To me, the Hayabusa has always been more than a machine. It has always been a canvas that inspired me to do different things. On top of my list as a scale model collector was to cocoon the Hayabusa with 1340 Hot Wheel cars. And that is exactly what I did. It was something different, and it seemed that up till now, nobody had tried that on a superbike anywhere in the world. So the task of putting one car at a time began. And the studio was Big Boy Toys, surrounded by actual supercars. How could any other place for such a thing be better than this? It is true that we never grow, only our toys do. And what better place than xBhp's 16th anniversary to unveil it? It was 6 years in 2020 that I'd owned the Hayabusa for. And then the pandemic struck. I've realized that it was time to sell the Hayabusa for many different reasons. But I wanted to do it in one last avatar before I hung up my Peregrine Falcon's boots. I wanted it to be in black chrome, inspired by the Ninja H2. Especially after doing 20,000 kilometers on it in Australia in 2017. And so I did. I have to say it was the most brilliant avatar of the Hayabusa I had. I was happy and content now, and I could say goodbye. And that's what's wrong with the Hayabusa. It creates an emotional bond like few other bikes. There is something about how its stories have been told around the world, something which cannot be quantified. It is something like why we ride. And when a machine holds such a power to influence the emotions of man, then definitely there is something wrong with it. Sayonara, until I swing my leg over the next Hayabusa.